This is day 655 of Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. This week's Arukh HaShulchan Yomi is sponsored for Schus for Bnei Chai Umizone for Yonasan Ezra Ben Chana Feigl. If you'd like to sponsor upcoming Shir Mar Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please contact me directly. We very greatly appreciate it. Today we're doing Siman Shin Pei Vav, Steve Dalid through Yud. We'll talk about Shidduchim Vos. Dal, Kotzer Tuvar Shulchan Shlo Yidnu Hashitav Avira Mavoy. The shituf should not be put in the airspace of the street itself. If you put it in the airspace of the street, ain't no shituf. It doesn't work. Ayin sham. Sham says that the chom makom sham chachom emenikim bo eruv. Any place where chom said you can't put an eruv, which means in the chutzers, or a house which doesn't qualify as a house. Nikim bo shituf there chutzi avir mavi, except with the exception of the airspace of mavi. Ayin sham. Yisham shemenu amar sham Rabbi Yechanan. Yerushalmi says, Rabbi Yochanan says, "Nosto bein ba'avir chatzer, nosto bein avir chatzer, bein ba'avir mavi." Ayin sham. It seems to say that you can't put the avir mavi. However, ain't halacha can. It's not halacha kashatz dam, but rather like the bavli. Vav sheish lomar the time agmar hu mishum shein mishumer b'mavi. It's possible that you can say the reason is because in the mavi it's not properly safeguarded. Can't much success in Persian the mavi halomitar, because the question there asks is in fact that in the mavi it's not safeguarded. Seems also to be the understanding of the Torah and the Shulchan Aruch, right? You have to put in a place which is safeguarded. That's you can't put in the airspace of the Mavi. By Yerushalmi, and you can explain to Yerushalmi, that you put in the Mavi in a place where it's Mishtamer. It's not seen to be the case in the words of the Rambam. But Gemara Perish to Mishum the Lomitar Lachain and a Mavi Cloud. Also, the pshat is since it's not mintar, therefore it doesn't work in the mavi. It's not saying if it's mintar, the mavi be okay. No, since it's not mintar, it doesn't work in the mavi. I feel like she's in the makom mishtamer if you put it in a place where it's safeguarded. Can you hear me? Rashi Shom is the guy who goes to the shidduch shenichu b'mavi possibly put the shidduch in a mavi. It is possible. Hey, shira shidduch eruv the yosim mishnesus ein tzarich afilim elef. The shira shidduch is the same as the mav as eruv. That means, and you don't need more than 2 pseudos, even if there are 1,000 people. And therefore, less than 2 pseudos also doesn't work. Even though in an eruv, when there aren't 18 people, it's sufficient to have a number of grogros corresponding to the amount of people in the eruv. But we assume there are more than 18 in the movie, and therefore. We always do 18. Everything else is identical to laws of Chatzeros. Therefore, his wife can participate on his behalf. We can do shidduch without his consenting. And Chatzer Pesach, if he has no other opening except unto this mavli. Cutting a child can collect the food for shidduch. Put the shidduch in the chutzner of a child. Which one person can bestow ownership on in the shidduch for everybody. You should include kulam based mean macho mashke. And they're all partners in some sort of foodstuff or drink. And it's in a specific place. And so they don't need additional shidduch. And even if you were partners with one neighbor in wine and another neighbor with oil, and so it's starting to make it for the shituf. But you b'kliach as long as they're in the one vessel. Even though everybody said it's okay, even if one kli is full, to put the rest of it in another keli, zelk should go to shem eruv. That's when they collect for the purpose of eruv. But here, since the wine oil not collected for the purpose of shituf, rather, they were separate partnerships. Bina dafka k'liachas has to be specifically in one keli. Reisa b'shem Rashba, which is a custom shekosher and royal isar b'yachad, anything which is not kind of mixed together, like oil and wine. And a chibur, they're not going to be connected. Amshim b'kliachad, even though they're in one vessel. Like Imashim Pasha Sugi the Shama, this seems to be the simple Shama. The Sugi there, which Omer Yain is back to that bracket Shama Yain v'Yain royal order, but it says. Wine and wine can get mixed together. Mishabur also that's the way. And since Rob Poskim hold that yain and shem are two different types, which can't mix together, even if they're put in the same keli, so they can't be used for purpose of shituf. In other words, together. Vav. Kasar b'seim b'al yishon b'si base. Yisraelim shruim b'shloshim kaimus. Chalukim. You have Jews in 3 separate places. Lasos kol ha'chasim kaimus neulos b'layla, and the doors of each one are locked at night. Hashamish gova kemach mikulam, and the shamish collects the flour from all of them. That collection is not worth for them to make shituf. Shituf v'mavli, because the shituf of a mavli tzarich l'yoshem munach b'chotzer shemavli. It's got to be in the chotzer of the mavli. But elu sheidolim zeh mizer chokim, and these who have separated themselves and are distant from each other, and shituf on echad, that they cannot be considered partners in unison. Ve'en mevia ein mavoe and kechad, and they're mavli. They're not considered to be one joint members of the mavli. It doesn't say specifically that each one has a mavli, so I have to see next if how Arukh HaShulchan explains this. The im irvu makom echad, they made air in one place. En achem shlo irvu osim aleim. The other people did not participate. They're not forbid upon them. Well, if Jesus regals those because they're not stepping into each other's jurisdictions. He ain't called irchashukum mavli echad, because the entire city is not to be like one mavli. Even though they are in this under the circumference of one larger wall. Zayin, Bir Advar. This is what it means to say. The Tami Same Shalom, Loyu Kishalonu. Their cities didn't like ours. Sha'ir Ayo Etzlam Chalukah Chalokim Rabim. Their cities were divided into many parts. And each part was like its own distinct neighborhood with its own distinct streets. They were saying this goes by, they were like gated neighborhoods. When they were gated, they didn't have a connection with each other. There was a larger wall surrounding all the areas. So the different parts cannot make a shituf together. Because going to put the air in one of the subdivisions. The other parts, the other subdivision will be cut off from the air. Since at night they are locked off. They are distant from each other by virtue of these locked doors. So each subdivision makes its own shituf. And one subdivision makes the shituf, and the other one does not make it. To have a regular serasim krema, which means that they are in their own place, they are forbidden. And that they are go to the other subdivision. They would answer, but not in this case. Since they're not compelled to go that way. The regular is when it has to walk through, like a chatzar pnimis and a chatzar chitoina. Not here where they're separate subdivisions. It's not like 2 yards, which I just mentioned. And now it says, since they don't have Jesus Regel, they're not compelled to go there. They have other ways. If they happen to go through there, they don't answer. As a result. Even though they're in one larger wall, they're not considered as one. Since each gated area is a closed-off subdivision by itself. Mishabura says that, it brings another shot here, it says that we're talking about a case where between each subdivision there's a makam asur betiltu, such as a karpaf. Therefore, that which the Mechaber wrote that the doors are locked at night, not specifically. Even if they're open, since there are places between the subdivisions you can't carry, you can't join them together. The Beis Meir says Shulchan, and right, and the Chavetz Chaim concludes that all this is when they don't have a reshus to open the doors at night, because the government doesn't let them, whatever. But if they have a reshus to open the doors anytime they want, so the shituf does get ruined by the fact that they're locked, which would be the case by contemporary gated communities. The Mishabura says, even though they have reshus to go through these other subdivisions, nevertheless, since they have another way to go out, so we make them go out the other way. I don't know if they will always have to go out the other way, but that would be their primary way, so therefore there won't be regal asur mikoma asur shalom mikoma. Ches mishtarfin kol minei machol. You can do shita with all types of foodstuffs. So if you arba chamisha minei machol, you have 4 or 5 different types of foodstuffs. Mitztarfin l'mason shtei sudos. They can comprise the food for 2 meals. B'chol ochel b'chol mashke mishtarfin. There's any food in every beverage. Chutz min except for water b'fnei atzmon. The water is by itself, pure water. And salt by itself, pure salt. If you make salt water, then you can use it. It's like a brine. Which you dunk bread and meat, and it's like an accompaniment to the meal. Mushrooms and truffles and mushrooms. Even they're cooked, they're not considered to be like food. If you shame Arvin on Badava Shoy Lisod, Elias the Pascos, you only can make a sheet of or something which is either used to for as the Iker Suda or to accompany bread. I mean, butchers ain't sodding Bohem. Evidently, at least I don't know, portobello mushrooms say it could be a burger, but back then I guess truffles and mushrooms they don't make a suit out of them. They ain't Latvian, but they don't accompany bread. People are not people. It's a mitzvah. If you eat them as a bread or as accompanied by bread, but we don't disregard that. Those are gra. According to Shmuel, the supreme command of pictures for dessert. So it must be significant food stuff. And it goes for dessert on the tables of kings. That which they said in the one you can't use truffles and mushrooms. Lokai. It's not going Erev. It's going all together. Meiser Sheni money. That you can't use it by command pictures. It's non-sham. It says them. They can't be bought from Meiser money. The pre. You need to have a fruit which grows from another fruit. You like things which grow from the ground. We know the truffles and mushrooms grow from spores, and they also, even though they might be anchored in the ground, they don't derive their sustenance from the ground. And he says in brackets here, Sham the custom of Gemara next to tables Chuli Kavanosov Mishlam Ram Kabosi with the Hena Meshma Choshavu. Okay, so now he says, so we're going to say according to the Rif and the Rambam. How are we going to defend them? I have to say, even though it's a significant food, Mikom Eno Lafes Plus a Pas. Not used to accompany bread. But we saw by him not to create a Suda Bifnei Atzman, and of themselves, which will be the condition of an Eruv Veduk. The gross Svara seems to be more strong. Test. Kol Ochel Shunecha Kamoshu, any food should be eaten as it is. Kompas, such as bread, umini dagan or basach, right? And types of grain and raw meat. Okay. If they use it for sheet of shura mazon shtesus, the shear is the amount you need for 2 meals. The chol shu lifton, anything which accompanies bread with their cham lechol piton, that people eat it with their bread. Go yain mebusha, such as cooked wine, which is used as a spice back then, or as a condiment, I should say. Uvas or tzli and roast meat, with chometz and vinegar, murias and brine, with zaysim and olives, v'moshe b'tzolim, and the mothers of onions. Shura kadei lechobo shtesuos. Each one is shear is to eat 2 meals of that substance. Ryan Leaf done that this accompaniment to the bread, she asked me how shtesuos should not be enough. She enough to use in 2 bread meals. Instead of yain chayiv, they used live wine, in other words, not cooked wine. So shura shtei revios, and then it's made for drinking, not as a condiment. So you need 2 revios for each person in the shituf. Okay, mashayach shtei revios, and so too by other alcoholic beverages. Shtei revios. Beitzim stein, 2 eggs. Mishtay v'em they can use for shituf. Even if they are raw. Rimonim stein, 2 pomegranates. Esrog echad. 1 esrog, vegozi masora, 10 nuts, the chamisha parskim, 5 peaches, assume parskim peaches, Felicia shel yerek, and a measure of vegetable beichai menjok, whether it is raw or cooked. Mishnah says, I'm not sure he's arguing about it. Maybe it sounds like they don't need a litra if they're cooked, but not clear. Okay, because if it's cooked, don't need that measure because a small amount can be used. It's a pass if they're cooked vegetables. Anyway, he says v'imay bashil v'lo bashil if it's cooked but not fully cooked. And he's talking about we can't use it for shitul fish and because it's not suitable to eat. For Rav the Rav argues in this. They didn't say ain't oil, but the trucking below Eric. That's only true by beets, not by other vegetables. Chatzivi is tavlin, half of vias of spices, the kav tamarim, a measure of dates, the kav grogos, a measure of dried figs, monat vela, a measure of date cake, the kat tabuchin, a measure of apples, all the same. Kshus kmoyad, and hops the size of your hand. Upulin lachin, soft beans, kmoyad like the size of your hand. Litra chaziz, who mean yerek, and litra, which is larger measure, chaziz, with type of vegetable. Batrodin and beets, hareim, b'chlav, yerek, mishtarvem, they are included in vegetables that use them for shitu. Vale, b'tzad, and mishtarvem, we can't use onion shoots. Elakim, tzilu, v'nasa, ora, kol, alamem, zeres, unless they come fully grown out. Each one is a zeres, which is very big, from here to here. So I guess the green onions growing out of the onions, the chives, whatever, they have to be pretty long. That's not food, considered to be a food. All these things like accompaniments to bread. That's why they gave the shurim. But anything similar shurim. We already looked at all food stuffs can make the shir. But the Rabbi argues. Which you haven't come to yet. Extending your 2,000 amos on Shabbos. Lo shitu v'vos, not for making, bringing them v'vos together. For all pasuk most of us argument here, the shituv gam prusa mishtafim. If you're doing shituv, normally for Erev you need to have a whole loaf, or a whole roll, or a whole matzah. But for shituv, you use even a slice. It's no worse than using other food. Any food which is not whole, you can use. Das Rambam, all these according to the Rambam. Mr. Burris wants to say that certain wild apples you can't use because people really don't eat them. But most folks are going to say that all apples, their din is the size of a cob. Yud, v'das Rosh Batur, the aim arm tavlin. The Rosh Batur, you can't make it with condiments. So Mizel Khalif on the bus at sleep because that's like a condiment for roast beef. But bus at sleep small, and the roast beef itself, I believe, is considered a condiment for bread. Who kidei or both shoes. It's like taking two portions of meat would be enough. What does have to? The law mean a lift on lifter. We don't say something is accompaniment to the accompaniment. There is a yesh when you hold you can. Probably Arukh HaShulchan going to bring it down later. Pesach Mishabur brings it down now. It says Shas Afrak, you rely on that opinion. But there's an issue by peppers. Okay. Arukh HaShulchan Rosh includes something which we don't use for the air of gudganios, shulazera, some kind of berry which became hard. They can only be used for seeding. The kafnios, which is zeltamoyim royim shlobish gotzakam, bad dates which never came fully mature. Look at the wadoshim of lentils, lochim nor wheat or barley. The Rambam didn't mention these specifically. They came to lochas achila. Moshe says you can't eat them as is. They need a tikkun mimel they marvim. Obviously, can't use them for native. Locate das and traces. That which you're not talking shemen. You know, it's only good, only bad if you put in oil. Yes, because then you have to cook it. No, on the contrary. According to traces, it works if you put in oil. Shemen. Let the oil itself should work, like I said before. No, could go to shemen abatzmo like a sure laugh. It's supposed to pass. We're talking about a case where the oil itself doesn't suffice to make it covered for 2 meals. So mitzvah and mayim v'melch. In that case, we can join together water, salt, and I guess other stuff as well. The session is by the Dashim Em Arvin, Zochayos, that you can't use lentils. It is raw lentils, Avomusholos Marvin, but the cooked lentils, they can be used to make a shituf.